In this tutorial, we are discussing about understand thread synchronization. Let's discuss it. So what is synchronization in Java? Synchronization is in Java is the process or the capability to control the access of multiple threads to any shared resources. We all know that threads are shareable, but if we want to control the access of those multiple threads in any shared resources or any shared location, we can use synchronization in Java. Java synchronization is the better option if we want to allow one thread to access the shared resources. Then here comes a question, why we use synchronization? And the answer is, the synchronization is mostly used due to some facts, and these are to prevent thread interference. If we don't want to interfere one thread to another thread, then to prevent the thread interference from one to another, we use thread synchronization. To prevent consistency problem, if we want to prevent the consistency issue in a thread, or we can say that if we want to prevent the consistency issues among the threads, then we can use the thread synchronization. Let's see about what are the types of thread synchronization. So basically there are two types of synchronization in thread. The first one is process synchronization and the second one is thread synchronization. We all know that multitasking can be done by two ways, by process or by thread. Similarly, synchronization can be also of two types. If we want to do synchronization in a process, then we use process synchronization. But if we want to do synchronization in a thread, then we use thread synchronization. Let's discuss about the thread synchronization. So what is thread synchronization? So there are two types of thread synchronization. We all know that thread synchronization is the property, is the behavior in which we control the access of the thread among shared resources. So if we want to control the access of the thread among shared resources, we use the thread synchronization. And thread synchronizations are basically divided into two types. The first one is mutual exclusive and the second one is inter-thread communication. Here is the mutual exclusive. In mutual exclusive, we have three things: synchronized method, synchronized block, and static synchronization. And in inter-thread communication, we have cooperation only, because inter-thread communication means to communicate each other inside the thread, or if we want one thread, if one thread wants to communicate with the other thread, then we use the process of intercommunication, or we can say it as a cooperation. Next is synchronized method. We all know that in mutual exclusive we have three things: synchronized block, synchronized method. So let's discuss about the synchronized method. If we declare any method as synchronized, it is known as synchronized method. If before using any method, if we declare it with synchronized method or synchronized access modifier name, then we declare that method as a synchronized method. Synchronized method is used to lock an object for any shared resources. If we want to lock the object for sharing the resources, then we use the synchronized method. When a thread invokes a synchronized method, it automatically acquires the lock for that object and releases it when the thread completes its task. If we want a thread to invoke a synchronized method, then it automatically acquires the lock of that object and it releases when the thread completes the task. Let's see the code how we can implement the thread synchronization in Java. Test synchronization in Java. First of all, we create a table, that is class table, and inside it we create a method, that is void print table int n. Here we are not using the synchronized method, so we just use the normal method as void print table, and inside it we use the for loop for printing the value I is equals to 1 to I less than equals to 5, and then print n into I. And after that we use the thread dot slip, that is if one thing is printed, after that it will goes to slip, and then again another thing will be printed. And if we cause any exception in thread dot slip, then it will be cached by exception e, and it will be printed the e. Then again we create another class, that is my thread 1, which extends the thread class, and inside it we create an instance or class, that is table t. After that we used a constructor of my thread 1 to initialize the table t content with the dis.d. After that we use the public void run method, and then we call the print table method, and here we provide the value 5, that is it will be printed from 5 to 25. And then again we call another class, another thread, that is class my thread, which also extends the thread, and the same thing is done in my thread 2. And here what we do, we just call the t.print table and provide the value 100 here. After that we check the test synchronization method, and then we create the main method, and after that we create the table object of the first class, that is table object is equals to new table, and then we create the my thread 1, that is t1 is equals to new thread, and then call its object, and then my thread 2, and then call the table object here also. First of all, we start the T1 dot start and then T2 dot start. So what happens here? First of all, the T1 value will be started, and then the T1 value will be print. And here the first thread will be gives the first output, and then it will goes to sleep. While sleeping, the second value will proceed, and it will be give the output, and then after 400 seconds again the first thread will continue its proceeding. Let's check it. First of all, we are just saving it, and let's execute it. We are already in our location, so just write Zavak test synchronization 1.java, and hence it compiles successfully. Let's execute it by Java test synchronization 1. See what will happen. First of all, the value of 5 is printed, and then it will goes for 400 seconds to sleep, and then 100 will print, that is the value of second thread, and then again 10 will be print, then value of second thread and will be print, and then second thread, then third thread. So this is the synchronization. Without synchronization, here the value is not synchronized, because we are using first the thread 1 will execute, after that thread 2 will be execute, then thread 1 will execute, then thread 2 will execute. So how we can remove this thing with the help of synchronization? Let's see it. Here we create the same method, but what we do here, we use the synchronized word here. That is the synchronized method. And again the same thing happens with it. That is, we just print the value of for loop, and then the thread class will, again the slip method is 400. Similar thing we have to do here also. The only change we have done here is just use the synchronize with synchronize before the method, that is void print table. Let's save it and let's execute it. We are already in our location, so just write test synchronization 2.java, and hence it compiles successfully. Let's execute it by Java test synchronization 2. See, it will be synchronized. Here, listen. First of all, it will print 5, then 10, then 15, 20, 25, and then 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. First of all, the thread 1 value will be executed. After 400 seconds, it takes sleep of 400 seconds, but again complete its first thread. When the first thread will complete its processing, after that the second thread will continue its work. So this is the difference between the synchronization and without synchronization. If we don't use synchronization, then our thread will not be synchronized. So these are the concepts of synchronization in Java. Thank you.